President Trump is calling his meeting with China's Xi Jinping in South Korea a historic success. The two leaders struck deals on fentanyl, rare earths, and farm trade. It was a rare show of agreement and diplomacy after months of tariff threats, tensions, and disputes. The question is, how long will this new trade framework last? We'll review the details from the summit. After months of tariff volleys, the long-anticipated face-to-face between President Trump and China's Xi Jinping happened today in South Korea, yielding a breakthrough set of agreements on tariffs, fentanyl enforcement, and rare earth exports that capped the president's whirlwind Asia tour. The Busan summit was Trump and Xi's first meeting since 2019. The president came to the table armed with tariff leverage and left with what he called real progress. And it's the clearest sign yet that the world's two largest economies are finding some common ground, at least for now. Under the agreement, the United States will cut tariffs on Chinese imports from around 20% to near 10%, though Trump's aides later clarified that effective rates would vary by product. China, in turn, agreed to resume large-scale purchases of American soybeans, sorghum, and other farm goods. In a major victory for Washington, Beijing also committed to a one-year pause on rare earth export restrictions, a key step toward stabilizing global tech manufacturing. China also agreed to enforce stronger controls on the production and export of fentanyl. Trump told reporters after the talks, quote, "We have a deal. Every year we'll renegotiate the deal, but I think it will go on for a long time," end quote. The talk during the summit also turned to semiconductors, where Trump confirmed that Chinese firms will open discussions with NVIDIA for additional chip purchases, though America's most advanced processors will continue to remain off limits. Additionally, the two leaders agreed to revisit their in-person meetings, with Trump expected to visit Beijing in April and Xi slated to visit Washington sometime later this year, though no specific dates were confirmed. Xi called the meeting constructive, conceding that, quote, "friction between major powers is natural," but adding that U.S. and China, quote, "can still find ways to thrive side by side." Trump returned the compliment, calling Xi, quote, "a friend of mine," and saying the talks restored relations to the footing that they held before his Liberation Day tariff offensive. Hours later, Trump posted on Truth Social that he was, quote, "extremely honored" that Xi had authorized massive new purchases of American farm goods. He hinted that future talks could extend even beyond trade, possibly towards Chinese investment in Alaskan oil and gas. That's a deal that would pull energy diplomacy into the mix and further cement U.S. influence across the Indo-Pacific. Though his summit with Xi was the headline moment of his South Korea visit, Trump wrapped up what he labeled as a historic week for American trade, sealing a new pact with Seoul, as well as Tokyo and other Southeast Asian partners. In South Korea, Trump and President Lee Jae-myung finalized an agreement to lower tariffs on auto and auto part imports to 15%, matching Japan's rates after Tokyo's $550 billion U.S. investment pact earlier in the week. All right, coming up next, President Trump orders the Pentagon to resume U.S. nuclear weapons testing for the first time in more than 30 years. Oh, that's good. I didn't see that coming. I'll be right back. Hey, Mike Baker here. Well, you've probably noticed that fall has arrived, right? And that means shorter days, colder nights, maybe a fire in the fireplace. And it's that season where families come together around the table for hearty comfort food and good conversation. You know what I'm talking about. And that's what Tri-Tail's Premium Beef is all about. Look, this is a terrific company. You got to check them out. They're a fifth-generation ranching family out of Texas, still working their land, raising cattle the right way, and producing some of the best steaks and beef that you'll ever taste. And it's all shipped straight to your door. And right now, for the first 30 orders over $499, they're adding a free roast to your shipment. A centerpiece meal that can simmer all day and remind you why gathering around the table matters. It's not just about beef. It's about building the kind of tradition that your family will remember. So head on over to trybeef.com/PDB and claim yours while it lasts. Available for the first 30 orders only. Again, that's trybeef.com/PDB. Welcome back to the Afternoon Bulletin. Just hours before his meeting with President Xi, President Trump made a move that's already reverberating across the world. While flying aboard Marine One on his way to Busan, South Korea, Trump announced on Truth Social that he's ordering the Pentagon to immediately resume U.S. nuclear weapons testing. It would mark the first time in 33 years that the U.S. has conducted a nuclear test, breaking a moratorium that dates back to 1992, during the final years of the Cold War. Trump wrote, quote, "Because of other countries' testing programs, I've instructed the Department of War to start testing our nuclear weapons on an equal basis. That process," he said, "will begin immediately." He went on to add that, quote, "Russia is second and China is a distant third, but will be even within 5 years." That last part hints at the context behind his announcement. Both Beijing and Moscow have been showcasing their nuclear muscle lately. China, for example, has more than doubled the size of its nuclear arsenal in just the past 5 years, from around 300 weapons in 2020 to more than 600 today. That's according to the Center for Strategic and International Studies. U.S. defense officials estimate that number could top 1,000 by the year 2030, as Beijing continues developing new long-range systems capable of striking the continental U.S. Meanwhile, Russia's been busy reminding the world of its own arsenal. Just this week, Vladimir Putin announced the successful tests of 2 weapons, a nuclear-powered cruise missile called the Burevestnik and a nuclear torpedo known as the Poseidon. The Kremlin's official spokesman, Dmitry Peskov, told reporters Thursday that Russia wasn't aware of any nation currently conducting nuclear tests, and that if the U.S. abandoned its moratorium, Russia will act accordingly. He didn't specify what that means, but it's the latest sign that the world's nuclear powers are edging closer toward a new kind of arms race. Well, one that looks actually a lot like the old one. For context, the U.S. conducted 1,032 nuclear tests during the Cold War, the last one taking place in September of 1992. Russia's last confirmed test was in 1990, and China's was in 1996. Since then, every major nuclear power except North Korea has refrained from explosive testing, relying instead on computer modeling and subcritical experiments to maintain their arsenals. North Korea, of course, has conducted 6 tests, the last in 2017. But recent developments have challenged that decades-long status quo. Russia's unveiling of its new nuclear-powered systems, combined with China's rapid nuclear expansion, appears to have convinced the Trump administration that it's time to verify America's capabilities in the real world. As Trump told reporters aboard Air Force One later in the day, quote, "With others doing testing, I think it's appropriate that we do also. We have to make sure we keep up with our rivals," end quote. He added that the specific test sites will be determined later, though historically the U.S. has conducted nearly all of its tests at the Nevada test site north of Las Vegas. When asked whether this decision could make the world more dangerous, Trump brushed it off, saying, quote, "Our nuclear stocks are well locked up." Well, that's a good thing. He then added that he'd still welcome discussions about denuclearization, try saying that 3 times fast, if Russia and China were willing to join. But for now, the signal is unmistakable. After 3 decades of nuclear restraint, the United States is re-entering the testing arena. And that, my friends, is the PDB Afternoon Bulletin for Thursday, the 30th of October. If you have any questions or comments, and I hope you do, please reach out to me at pdb@thefirsttv.com. And, of course, to listen to the show ad-free, well, you can do that, and it's very simple. Just become a premium member of the President's Daily Brief by visiting pdbpremium.com. I'm Mike Baker, and I'll be back tomorrow. Until then, stay informed, stay safe, stay cool. Hey, Mike Baker here. Let me take just a moment to talk about personal finances. And let me start with a question. Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? Well, with credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available and designed to aid consumers who have out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program may only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. Look, it's not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about. It could end your debt troubles and could save you a lot of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living continues to rise. To learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, simply go online and visit DRA.com. That's DRA.com. Again, DRA.com.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and leave a comment, a really positive, nice, and kind comment. That would be appreciated. And if you're not already subscribed to our channel, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our daily updates.